Yeah. I collected it with my full chest. Yes, I like it. I like Jimmy.
We should probably do a naming ceremony for that.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But we're here to talk here.
Yeah, you know.
I'm sure you guys must have followed the whole NBA jersey for the Olympic wahala,
true.
not having been granted the what do they call it, waiver to get the and now it seems because of the 2 victories that they had and the death of Saud Sultan, everything is turning around.
Maybe not necessarily that. We all know that at a point in time of obviously the federal government are always going to wade in. We just a bit disappointed.
But why do they have to wait
exactly
to like the final moment?
Listen. This is already entrenched in Nigeria's sport history as regards our late preparation, our 11th hour preparation for major tournaments. This also played out, something similar to this rather, played out en route to the 2016 Olympic Games, where we started sourcing for funds to transport our Dream Team 5, that's the Olympics men team, to Rio de Janeiro. In fact, they arrived on the morning of their first game. Say they were to play the game by 6 p.m. They arrived in Brazil the morning of that particular game. Yet they still, I think they played a 3-0 draw against Japan in that particular fixture. But I think it's really about what is now really in the fore now. It's about the fact that we always leave things, till the last minute before getting things done. But hey, the boys are really not really, bothered about that, are they? Because they actually went through their all preparatory games looking so confident.
They did, though. I mean, the USA game, the Argentina game, perhaps, but we saw the result between them and Australia. And interestingly, that's the team that they face on the opening. On their first game is against Australia.
But someone will tell you that don't show your enemy your best yet. Why not just keep that for when the result matters most?
Oh, really?
Okay,
I will take that.
But really, I need you to actually be very confident in this, lads. Especially
the interesting thing is I didn't even know that the coach is doing a pro bono job.
Yeah, he is.
I didn't know until yesterday that this guy had so much faith in the Nigerian team and he decided to volunteer.
He's not Nigerian.
Yes.
So he actually told the MBBF not to pay his salary, that whatever is due to him as salary should actually be thrown back into development of basketball. And
I really hope that they go far.
I think they will.
So that it would all be for something
and if
at the end
perhaps,
of the day.
If possible, we can get you a Nigerian basketball jersey. If possible.
Oh, wow. I've been looking forward to that. I'm a basketball. I used to play.
Oh, really?
Back in the day, but
really?
Wow. That's story for another day.
That's a story I can't really wait to hear. But thank you very much, Jimmy Baby. I'll say cha-cha for that really chit-chat we've just had right now. And of course, with that, obviously, we've launched you to the mood of sports once again this lovely Thursday morning. This is Sports Bank on Splash 105.5, the Integrity Station. And my name is Ayomide Animasahun. I'm so delighted to actually have Faith back on the MIC with me as well this lovely Thursday morning. Good morning to you, Faith, and welcome to a brand new edition of maybe the best sports show right there in the city. Welcome.
Well, scrap maybe are definitely the best sports show in the city.
Can you not say scrap maybe in capital letters?
Yeah, definitely. Good morning. Good morning, Ayobami. Good morning, Ibadan. Good morning. To everyone listening outside Ibadan, obviously, as well. So it's a beautiful Thursday morning. And the last time myself and AY were, we teamed up on the Thursday morning. I was one of those days that I dropped a banger.
That was the day before the start of the Euros.
Yes, June 10. Yeah. I know when I dropped the banger that Italy should be a team to look out for. And maybe those that listen that day are probably cashing on it. I wouldn't know. But, yeah, thanks.
That's for your accolades.
Yeah, thanks for giving me
what else? Whatever other thing you're expecting, you're not going to get more than that.
I urge our listeners to sit back. Maybe one of those bangers will be dropped again.
Oh, really?
Later on the show, we never can tell.
I actually caught up with a very funny story right there. I think in the UK or somewhere, that someone actually placed a bet on Italy to win the Euros, but unfortunately, he made a mistake. Instead of actually clicking on Italy to win the Euros, he mistakenly placed the bet on Italy to win the 2022 World Cup. Oh. So it was until later on that eventually discovered that he made such a horrendous mistake, and that means they have to actually wait at least 18 months time to see whether indeed that particular.
You have to hope that they'll continue this streak, but you cannot bet against Italy at 2022.
Are you about to drop another banger?
Not as regards the World Cup.
Okay.
I know.
Let's just, whatever banger you want to drop, as long as it's not really going to be immediate, let's just keep that on the back burner for that. But guys, let's quickly get things underway. It is just 9 days to the start of Olympic Games in Tokyo, and quite a lot of things are happening, especially from the camp of Nigeria, precisely from basketball, and maybe we can talk a little bit about some other sport as well. But this time around, let's get things underway from the world of basketball this lovely Thursday morning. It is all about the Adopt an Outlet initiative that was actually put down by the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, of course, chaired by Honorable Sunday Dare, and indeed this particular initiative has been yielding quite a lot of dividends, and one of them, perhaps the biggest of them, has to be said, is the fact that on Wednesday 3 commercial banks actually came together to donate $200,000, that's about 100 million naira, to jointly adopt the national men's basketball team, the D Tigers, and the female team, the D Tigress, who are both on their way to the Tokyo Olympic Games. The ministry noted the banks responded in a timely fashion to the appeal by the Minister of Youth and Sports, that's Honorable Sunday Dare, for corporate organizations to adopt the national teams. And this is quite interesting because the D Tigers got the $100,000, while the D Tigers also got $100,000 as support for them to prosecute their participation at the Olympic Games in Tokyo. Meanwhile, the team can now go to Olympic Games with their new jerseys, just like Chacha rightly said a couple of minutes ago, because Olympic equipment has always been a bit of question marks about that, but that won't be for any longer, because the federal government has been able to grant an import waiver for their jerseys, and that means we can all live back and hope that these jerseys will quickly be transported to Tokyo. But moving on, let's talk about something which for me is maybe size will be a bit bigger than this. It is all about the participation of some basketball stars for the D Tigers at the Olympic Games, because on Wednesday, basketball's world governing body denied WNBA players Nneka Ogumike and Elizabeth Williams the right to play on the Nigerian national team in the Tokyo Olympics. FIBA said it denied the players' petitions to play for Nigeria due to their substantial involvement of more than 10 years with the USA basketball team. But the ruling contradicts FIBA's own mandate to try to grow the women's game globally. And instead of adding 2 talented Nigerian-American women to a team from a continent that has never won the Olympic medal, both in men and women's basketball events of the Olympic Games history, and of course paving the way for 3 sisters to suit up for Nigeria, talking about Nneka Ogumike, Chine Ogumike, and Erica Ogumike, who, by the way, could be in line to make history, now really having a bit of stumbling block. But really, Faith, this is indeed one decision I think FIBA just maybe should really have just have a rethink about, because indeed, if you are really interested in the development of basketball in several other continents, these are the kind of decisions you can easily just waive. Or what
definitely, it is a contentious decision. It's something that would maybe continue to raise this kind of controversy and all that, because for me, well, going by the rules, obviously, according to Article 3, subsection 23 of the FIBA rules, it's saying that any player who has played in a main official competition for FIBA after having reached the age of 17 may not play for another national team. However, the Secretary General may authorize such a player to play for a national team of his or her country of origin if he or she is ineligible to play for such country. And now that is something that you say that, well, maybe it's down to the Secretary General, but like you also said, there's still another important clause in that in that particular rule, that if it is in the interest of the development of basketball in that country, the player could be allowed to do that. So that is why everyone has been asking questions as regards the Secretary General, talking about Adrian Saklis, that why did he make that decision? Of course, the decision is not down to him alone, but he has that right, that the Constitution provides him the opportunity to make that decision based on development of the sport in that country. Maybe you say that. I remember Akeem Olajuwon. Akeem Olajuwon played at the African Games for Nigeria. And then what happened? In fact, he had not gotten his citizenship to play for US when he was to change. And they allowed him to switch based on, they gave him that, the FIBA, I remember that time, I think in 1996.
But the most important clause here is the fact that Ogumike has played more than 10 years for the U.S. basketball team. Same thing with Elizabeth. By the way, Ogumike was part of the women's basketball team that actually won the World Cup, I think, in 2014 and I think 2018. Unfortunately, by the way, she has never represented the United States of America at the Olympic Games. She was not part of the 2012 Olympic team, neither was she part of the 2016 Olympic team. Guess what? Earlier last month, he was also not included in the 2020 Olympic Games team for the US women's team, which obviously paved the way for her to pitch her tent to Nigeria. By the way, both Elizabeth and Ogumike, talking about Nneka rather, actually they both have Nigerian passports, and I feel maybe just by that alone they should really be given a waiver. But indeed, FIBA are looking elsewhere and of course thinking otherwise.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they're looking elsewhere, but you also understand their point. They've made substantial involvement at another national team, so maybe they have a point. But then you say that, well, just like we've said before, that talking about development of the sport in some other countries, this is something that FIBA has already made provisions for in their constitution, to have maybe a player change or create that kind of waiver. But then they are refusing other opportunity. Maybe that has anything to do with the kind of performances that the Tigers are already turning out, and everyone is beginning to look at the Nigerian team as a huge threat. And then well, there's no way we have to look at the way to maybe can you use the word unstraighten them? We cannot allow so maybe that is what is happening. But then I believe what we still have in our arsenal is still definitely enough for us to go all the way.
Well, the interesting thing is the fact that the US basketball, in fact, actually gave their consent for both players, talking about Elizabeth and Nneka, to represent Nigeria. But it's just surprising that FIBA are not really taking this up. But that's not the end rather for both players. It's not doomed and gloom for them, because there's still a glimmer of hope, as we are hearing that the Nigeria Basketball Federation, as the NBBF, has filed an appeal to FIBA on behalf of both players, while the players, in fact, themselves are also exploring an option which also may see them apply to the Court of Arbitration for Sports. The court could expedite a full hearing if both sides agree, and that means FIBA could also allow them to participate in the Olympic Games until that hearing, in fact, is out. So it's not really the end of the road now for Nneka, because I'm really quite interested in seeing how the Ogumike sisters can actually make history. 3 sisters possibly to represent a country at the Olympic Games. That indeed is going to be a history making rather for them. But away from that now, still talking about basketball, let's talk about the NBA, because in the wee hours of this morning, Chris Middleton actually was on the 4 right there for Milwaukee Bucks, scoring 40 points, including 10 straight for the Milwaukee Bucks down the stretch to send them past the Phoenix Suns in 109 to 103 victory in Game 4. Giannis Antetokounmpo was also not out of place, because he had 26 points, 14 rebounds, and 8 assists. A streak of 40 points games actually ended at 2, but the only number that matters for the Bucks as we speak right now is for them to even the series on the scoreboard, and that they did. Quite interesting. But listen, this is NBA Finals. No one was expecting Phoenix Suns to have an easy ride. Were you, or perhaps you think indeed they still have a shot for it?
Well, yeah, of course, they're still in it, obviously. Still, they just leveled. It's talking about the Bucks now. They've just leveled the series. It was very important that they got that win, because, had it been Phoenix Suns eventually won that, it would have extended the lead. They were leading by, 2 games to 1. The series would have been at 3-1, and then it must have been, a little bit more difficult. The next game would have been the decider, which would have been a very, very huge one for them. So it was important for Milwaukee Bucks to get that all-important win. And when you have 2 or 3 players doing so well, it was not just about Giannis in that particular game. I was down to Chris Middleton, who also did so well for himself. So unlike the Phoenix Suns, who they depended on Booker on Devin Booker to do everything.
That's Chris Paul as well.
Yeah, Chris Paul didn't do so well in that particular on CP3. He had only 10 points, 7 assists, and 4 rebounds, and that was just not enough for them. But the series is still very much tied, and they know that they can definitely still fight for the championship.
And yes, thinking rather, what if indeed the home advantage could eventually play a key role in this one? Because Phoenix Suns won their 2 home games, Milwaukee Bucks also won their 2 home games, and now the series is actually tied. Guess what? The next game, which is obviously in Game 5, is happening right there in Phoenix later on Saturday night, and we are waiting to see whether indeed this home favorite thing or home advantage thing will still really play a key role in determining who would eventually win the NBA championships later at the end of this season. But away from that, now let's talk about Olympics again, as this one is quite interesting from the world of tennis, where Dan Evans has been ruled out of the Olympic Games in Tokyo after a positive coronavirus test. Evans said on social media, "I'm hugely disappointed and currently self-isolating," end of quote. Remember, Jonah Conte just a couple of days as well also put out of the Olympic Games due to positive COVID-19, and that means Britain will be without their number 1 men and women's tennis players at the Olympic Games. But maybe they can still rest solely on the shoulders of Andy Murray, who for me still goes down as perhaps the most successful active tennis player in the Olympic history, as he has 2 gold medals right there from the Olympic Games. But you still can question whether he's actually at that fitness level decent enough to mount a challenge right there in Tokyo. Meanwhile, away from that now, let's talk about how the medals could in fact be handed out to athletes right there at the Olympic Games, because just a couple of hours ago it was actually confirmed that athletes at the Tokyo Olympic Games will put their medals around their own necks to protect against spreading the coronavirus. This is not what we saw just a couple of days ago when the medals were handed out at the final of the European Championships. But different stroke for different folks. The way COVID is really rampant in Tokyo at the moment is quite different from how it was in Wembley on Sunday, and that's exactly why athletes will actually need to pick up their own medals themselves. Despite the 1-year delay, now the question lingers on: are we still ever going to have a somewhat close to normal Olympic Games? Because with all this that are happening in the last few days, firstly, last week it was confirmed that the games will be held without fans, even the local fans as well. And now we are hearing just a couple of hours ago that medals will actually have to be picked up by the athletes themselves. Well, it is really just about the Olympic Games. Let's just have it.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. For the Olympic Games, it's a gathering of more people, obviously, coming from several countries. You have to say that. So maybe it's also understandable, because unlike the Euros, you also look at the fact that just about 24 countries came for the Euros. The Olympic Games will be having well over 100 countries participating. So you understand that maybe you need to be more cautious.
China alone have over 400 and I think about 433 athletes
coming. So you look at the number of people coming for the competition. So, well, the most important thing is picking up the medal. The way and manner you are picking it up is not what counts. Whether you're picking up, whether someone
at your home,
as long as you're getting the Olympic gold medal on your shelf, that is the all important thing.
All right, guys, let's move away from the Olympic talks now. Remember, in the next few days, we actually have a 2-way partnership with the BBC for more lowdown on the Olympic Games, and you really can't wait to have to actually hear what we have for you on that particular front. It's all about a detailed lowdown of how things will really be happening right there in Tokyo as regards the Olympic Games. So you know where to actually stick to if you need all this detailed updates right there from the games in Tokyo. Moving on now, let's talk about football, but starting from mini football, it's looking quite interesting right now as we are into the quarterfinal stage of the 2nd edition of the African Mini Football Cup of Nations being hosted right here in Ibadan. Nigeria last played on Monday, 3-2 victory over Zambia, earned them a spot in today's quarterfinal fixtures, and they are up against Ghana at 3 p.m. later this afternoon. But why don't you just listen to the coach of the team, Frank Edaba, who actually Fabian Edaba, rather, who actually spoke to the media, and of course what we should expect from that game against Ghana later this afternoon.
Yes, nothing per se to avoid, and I've actually spoken to the players, and they actually need to rest very well and go back and rest, think about the game. I confidently know we're going to beat them to qualify for the semi-final. And the boys, this morning during our morning training, we were gingered, the boys were gingered, and the management have really tried on their own way to see how they can encourage the boys, because in the past, the boys were not properly taken care of, but now they have beginning to take care of the boys. They've gingered the boys, they've spoken to the boys, and the boys are in the high spirits to get to the final.
All right, the boys are gingered. They're actually in a high spirits, in the words of Fabian Edaba, the head coach of the Spartan Eagles, right there talking to the media. Remember, the game against Nigeria is by 3 p.m. later today. 5 p.m. it will be Libya up against Burkina Faso. Zambia will be locking arms with Egypt by 7 p.m. And the last game of the round and the last game of the day will be seeing Senegal up against Ivory Coast at the largest sports resort right in the ancient city of Ibadan. Away from the results of the round of 16 fixtures in the Aito Cup played yesterday, we had Lobby Stars losing out to Bayelsa United by 2-0. Elsewhere, Nasser United defeated Plateau United. Nasser United defeated Plateau United by 3-1. It ended goalless between KB United and Kano Pillars, but Pillars went to the next round, albeit by 3-2 penalty shootout victory. Tornadoes defeated Abiores by 3-2, a surprising result at that. Gateway United also got the better of Wiki Tourist by penalty shootout after a goalless result in regulation time. Same thing also played out with Sunshine Stars edging the Green Berets on penalty shootout after regulation time ended goalless as well. Rivers United defeated Auckland by 2-1, and Katsina United also lost against Gumbi United on penalties. For the quarterfinals of fixtures, it will be Gateway United up against Bayelsa United, Kano Pillars up against Sunshine Stars, Rivers United against Niger Tornadoes, and Nasser United against Gombe United. Czech Republic's Patrick Schick eventually won the Euro goal of the tournament. He couldn't win the top scorer award, neither was he part of the team of the tournament, but indeed that wonderful strike against Scotland in the group stage of the tournament eventually earned him the goal of the tournament. Frenchman Popo was a strike against Switzerland, came in second, and Croatia's Luka Modric actually came in third with a third best goal of the tournament. With that, is outside of the boot efforts against Scotland. And now let's link up with the BBC for the Premier League updates, and when we return, perhaps there'll still be enough time for us to talk a little bit about some juicy transfer stories. This is still Sports Bang on Splash 105.5.
BBC Premier League update from the home of Premier League football.
Hello, this is Joe Parsons at the BBC Sports Centre. The England forward Jadon Sancho says hate will never win after he received racist abuse following the Euro 2020 final defeat by Italy on Sunday. Sancho, Marcus Rashford and Bukayo Saka were targeted on social media after missing penalties in the shootout loss. In a post on Instagram, Sancho said, "As a society, we need to do better and hold these people accountable." The Everton manager, Rafa Benitez, says he's not worried about the reaction of fans in the city of Liverpool after reports of a threatening banner being left near his home ahead of his appointment at Goodison Park. The former Liverpool manager once referred to Everton as a small club back in 2007. But speaking in his first press conference since taking over there, he says his experience with the fans of both clubs has so far been positive.
The Evertonians around my place, they are quite happy and they were very supportive. Even the Liverpoolians, they were accepting that there is a chance and it's an opportunity for me to come back to the Premier League, to compete for something. So then I think it's better to think about positive, how a lot of people were encouraging me to do well. I'm happy with that.
The Wolves striker Raul Jimenez is set to make his return from a fractured skull in a pre-season friendly on Saturday. He hasn't played since suffering the injury in November last year. He was cleared to return in May, but it was decided not to risk him for the final game of the season, and it was decided he would also miss the Olympic Games with Mexico. Jimenez will wear protective headgear, something that will continue for the remainder of his career. And for more football news from the BBC, go to bbc.com/football.
All right, Joe, welcome back from that time out with the BBC for the Premier League updates. It's time to wrap things up, but let me quickly just give you these two juicy transfer stories. Gianluigi Donnarumma has completed his move to PSG on free transfer, signing a 5-year deal with the Ligon club, and we're also hearing that Lionel Messi has verbally agreed terms on a new deal with Barcelona that could actually have him take a 50% pay cut. Faith, time to leave on the show. What's your final take?
Lionel Messi is continuing with Barcelona, and then the Man Mountain, Donnarumma, are going to PSG.
Indeed.
I think it will be a wonderful one.
All right, so join us again tomorrow morning at 7:30 for another Friday winning edition of Sports Bank. And of course, before then, have for yourself a fantastic Thursday. I've walked alongside Faith Adedeji. Thanks to Desmond to the G. My name is Ayomide Animasahun. I'm out of here.
Splash FM 105.5.
Hi there. Hope you're having a good time wherever you are. Well, Today, I have come to share with you awesome news from Smile. Okay, let's talk about this. You can imagine having slow internet. You can imagine how annoying this can really be. Let's say you quickly want to search something on the internet and the internet is so slow and, it's just so bad that you can't really get